All right, everybody. I believe we are live and ready to go. We're back again for another week. I'm your host, Nick Mazone, obviously, and yeah, I mean things are going to be changing here a little bit. Obviously, the NBA ended last night with the Lakers taking their 17th ring, and yeah, so congratulations to any Lakers fans out there. I am one as well, but weirdly enough, I'm a Lakers fan that hates LeBron. Um, Big Kobe guy. Always heard that LeBron's better than Kobe growing up, so naturally, just have a little bit of disdain for LeBron. But you got the job done, got Finals MVP. Yeah, the point I was trying to get at is obviously the NBA is over now. The MLB is going to be following right behind it pretty soon. Like today, there's only two games in the MLB. It's the max, obviously, but people that are watching the show know that pretty much it was billed as an NBA and MLB underdog show. Now, obviously, that's coming to an end here because there's just no more games to really pick from. Like tonight, I don't like any of the MLB games, so I'm doing what I've been doing on Monday and giving out some college football picks for the weeks, which, by the way, I've been doing very well on. We'll get into that, but yeah. So I don't know. This might be the last show that is technically still live dogs. I think we might be switching it up to focus more on football. I'm not sure if it's going to still be underdogs or if it's just going to be picks for the week, but there'll be more information on that in a day or two. So, regardless, we'll get into what happened last week. I think it was the least amount of picks I've ever given out in a week. We went 2-4 on picks throughout the week. Then we went into college football where we went 1-1, but hit on NC State for a second straight week. Not a plus 500 this time, but still plus 255. Helped make up for the little bit of a lackluster week we had. We still finished down zero point 0.2 units after college football, but could have been much worse. But also could have been better because our other college football pick was Texas over Oklahoma at plus 120. And for people that watched that game, obviously went into the fourth overtime. Could have gone either way. Texas had their shot, missed the field goal. But regardless, but that puts us at a pretty good spot. These are the numbers over the last 7 weeks since I started tracking these. I believe I went the first week without tracking how I was actually doing. So those my first week not included, but these are the last 7 weeks. We're 56, 48, and 1. Over those last 7 weeks, we're hitting at 53.33333%. And betting on strictly underdogs, I mean, you cannot complain about that whatsoever. It totals up to plus 28.84 units. So if you've been blindly tailing me over these past 2 months or so, hopefully I've made you guys a little bit of money, as we have been doing pretty good. But yeah, like I said, hopefully we'll be moving into NFL and NCAA football soon. I also mentioned I do not like any of the MLB dogs today, so we'll get into our picks. Previewing for the weekend, I got 3 NCAA picks for you, including a pick in a pretty big game. So stick around for that. But pick number 1, Wake Forest plus 130 versus Virginia. I think these are two pretty close teams. I mean, Wake Forest is 1-2, but the losses are to Clemson and NC State, who obviously, if you guys know, I love NC State. Hit on them twice as pretty big dogs. So I think they're very underrated. Maybe going to start getting their respect soon. But yeah, they're 1-2 losses to Clemson, NC State. Virginia also 1-2. Weirdly enough, oddly, their losses are also to Clemson and NC State. So they both lost to the same 2 teams. When you look at how they each played, each of those games, Wake Forest played NC State closer. They only lost by 3 points, while Virginia played Clemson closer. So, I mean, if you're into how teams do head-to-head and use it as an edge, kind of washes each other out here. I would say overall, I do think Wake Forest have played them each a little bit tougher. I think they hung in there with Clemson a little bit, while Clemson just ended up pulling away. Or Virginia ended up just kind of keeping it closer than the game actually was against Clemson. But there's definitely some reasons to like Wake Forest here. When you look at Virginia's quarterback play, their quarterbacks, they have used a couple, but really it's just one guy. He's thrown 6 picks. The backup's already thrown a pick too. So the Virginia quarterbacks together have thrown 7 picks this year. Wake Forest's defense is averaging over an interception per game. They have 4 over their 3 games. So I think there's obviously a good chance that Wake Forest can win the turnover battle. I don't have the fumble numbers. I apologize for that. But, turnovers, there's a ton of stats that point whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game. And I think that this just shapes up nicely for Wake Forest to win the turnover battle. But you can even go more than that. You look at the team's numbers. Wake Forest, on average, through each team's first 3 games, Wake Forest scores more points, allows less points. And I think that's pretty big considering that 2 of the 3 opponents that these teams have played are the same team. So kind of gives you a good idea of what these teams are capable of. But yeah, I just think these teams are close. Don't get me wrong. The line shows it. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but my opinion is that Wake Forest is the slightly better team. So to get them at an underdog at plus 130, I think it's a good bet. I think it has good value. So yeah, Wake Forest plus 130 over Virginia. That's pick 1. We're getting to pick 2. We're kind of just going against the whole state of Virginia, I guess, because we're going with Boston College plus 320 versus Virginia Tech. Last 2 weeks, for college football, the biggest underdog I've given out has hit plus 525 and plus 255. Regardless, those were both NC State, but yeah, I think Boston College at plus 320 has an insane amount of value here. BC's 3-1 this year, wins over Duke, Texas State, and Pitt. Who weirdly enough, Pitt was ranked a couple weeks ago. We figured that out, though, because obviously Pitt was never good enough to be ranked. But besides the point, their only loss is a 4-point loss to UNC, who is ranked a top 10 team right now. Whether or not they belong there, that's up for debate. But only loss is a 4-point loss to a top 10 team. When you look at Virginia Tech, they're 2-1 this year. Wins over NC State, Duke, and an 11-point loss to UNC. So they do have 2 mutual opponents. They both beat Duke, and Boston College played UNC 7 points closer than Virginia Tech did. But we can get into how the teams are actually doing on a personnel and personnel wise. Virginia Tech, anyone paying attention to them, they're struggling at quarterback. They keep swapping guys in and out. Braxton Burmeister, the Oregon transfer, is probably their starter. For how much longer, I don't know. He's not doing too well, but he's struggling. He's been subbed in and out. They've had 3 QBs take snaps this year. Burmeister right now is our starter. He's completing just 45% of his passes, averaging less than 7 yards per pass attempt. Meanwhile, on the other side, I won't get into it all, but Boston College, solid quarterback play, have a defined starter, does all right. Nothing special. He's not the guy that's going to go out there and throw for 400-500 and 6 touchdowns, but he's not going to mess up too often, keeps you in the game, which I think is huge. So another thing, both teams have a +5 scoring differential per game. Just the difference is Boston College's average score is 25-20, while Virginia Tech's is 42-37. So it's kind of a team that's built more off defense and making the most out of your possessions, and Virginia Tech winning more of shootouts. Then it gets into matchups, which is actually very interesting here. Boston College is one of the best rush defenses in the ACC, and Virginia Tech runs for almost 300 yards a game, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And on the other side, Boston College can't really run the ball at all. I don't have the number, but I think they run for about 60 yards per game, maybe 80. It's low, but yeah, so kind of stylistically, they're I wouldn't say they're opposites, but definitely lean on different things to get the majority of their offensive yards. So this is kind of just a value pick. I think the teams are relatively close in terms of talent. Maybe Virginia Tech's a little bit of a better team top to bottom, but there's just no shot that I think Boston College should come back at plus 320. And I don't know. Kind of on a run here where I have feelings about these types of games, and they've actually been hitting for me. I just don't think the line should be nearly this. I don't know, man. I don't get the line. There's still a good shot Virginia Tech wins. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a close game, which then it can come down to quarterback play, and Burmeister hasn't been shown to be able to go out there and win games. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that could happen. If Boston College gets ahead early and takes away Virginia Tech's running game, makes them throw the ball, things could get dicey for them. So, Boston College plus 320 versus V-Tech. That is my second pick. And then we can move straight into the third pick, which I said is going to be in a big game. And it's Georgia plus 175 versus Alabama. Teams are ranked number 2 and 3 in the country right now, only behind Clemson. It's the biggest game of the day, maybe the biggest game of the year. This actually has so much implications on playoffs because the Big 12's pretty much taken themselves out of it. The Pac-12 playing only 6 games is going to be tough for them. I mean, Clemson's gonna run the table. They're gonna win it. Maybe Ohio State runs the table in the Big Ten and they get in, but you're looking at probably 2 teams from a conference, and the SEC is probably going to be that conference. But when you really look at it, you got to figure out what's going to happen. Right now, Georgia and Alabama would be that spot, but they do play each other here, which would give each other a loss. And then I don't know, maybe Georgia comes back, or maybe whoever loses this game comes back and beats the other team in the SEC championship, and then they each have 1 loss, only against each other, and they both get in. But regardless, whoever wins this game has a huge advantage in getting into the playoff this year. So there's going to be a lot riding on this. And I kind of, when I look at it initially, I can talk myself in and out of each side. I mean, they're ranked 2 and 3 for a reason. They're 2 really good teams. But when I was thinking about how this is going to play before even looking into the numbers, initially I just think that Saban would give Stetson Bennett, Georgia's young quarterback, for anyone that doesn't know, you would think that he would just be able to give him problems, draw up complex defenses, disguise things, and you would think that he would give him a ton of trouble. But then you really look at who Georgia has played this year, and they've already beaten Auburn and Tennessee, and both pretty easily. I mean, and those are 2 top 15 teams, and they didn't really struggle against either of them. You could say the Tennessee game was close, and then we saw what happened in the second half of that last week. But besides the point, these 2 teams are about the best it gets in the country. Both teams have a ton of weapons on offense, but where I really think the difference is going to be made is the defense. I mean, because, all right, first of all, Bama scoring 51 points a game. You expect that from Alabama. But Georgia, I would say, is probably the best defensive team in the country. They're allowing just 12 points per game. And like I said, they played 2 top 15 teams already. This defense is kind of just, it's a little bit different. I just think this defense is elite. I'm not saying they're going to shut out Bama. I feel pretty confident in saying they're not going to let up 51 points. But, so yeah, like I said, both teams have weapons on offense. One team's far superior on defense. And you know the saying, defense wins championships. I'm hoping that it's defense wins regular season SEC games here, because I really do like Georgia at plus 175. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, which obviously favors Georgia, at least in my eyes. So I'm going with the Bulldogs plus 175 to take the big game of Saturday night and hopefully cap off what will be a good day betting NCAA football. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be back tomorrow. I will be back at some point. I'm hoping that it changes to, I've said it a couple times, NFL and college football. But yeah, I really don't have any information for you guys on that right now. Hopefully you guys have notifications, like push notifications, subscribe so you can see when I come on. if you want to come in and check out my picks. But yeah, I just kind of got to see how things play out. So that's all I got for you guys today. Unfortunately, no picks that I actually played tonight, but 3 college football picks for the weekend. So yeah, I mean, good luck if anyone's playing on the MLB games tonight. I'm a fan of the and favorites of both games. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys whenever it is I'm on next, whether it's tomorrow, maybe Thursday. I will be on Friday for the UFC show. I don't know if any of you guys wanted to tune in for that last week. I lost power, couldn't get on to do the show. A storm came through my area, but I'll see you guys whenever I see you. Maybe with a whole new show, who knows? But thank you guys for being here, and see you again soon.